may have are still largely unknown. Parents groups worry the law would have made it easier for children and young people to access the drugs. Even if California made the bill a law, the drugs would still be illegal under federal law. Large businesses in California will have to disclose a wide range of emissions.
National repression. Here's a list of just a few that have gotten backing. Former New York Senator and presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, New York Congressmember Grace Meng, who named a day after a Chinese businessman in her district after taking thousands in donations. The man is now facing charges for acting as a Chinese agent and helping Chinese authorities force a U.S. resident back to China against their will. As for others, New York City Mayor Eric Adams and New York Governor Kathy Hochul. The money also went to candidates for New York's city government, state assembly, and Senate, plus district attorney, attorney general, judges, and the governor's office. Based on the findings, in the past 10 years alone, these Beijing-linked community groups spent at least $600,000. Newsweek reports that over 600 groups have links to the United Front Department in the U.S. 130 of them are based in New York. Donations from similar groups have been identified across the country.
Oh,
One
yeah.
market area for communities near the border with Gaza in the ongoing war. A warning that some of this footage is graphic.
The Hamas terrorist group on Monday warned that it would kill an Israeli hostage every time Israel bombs civilian homes in the Gaza Strip without warning. A spokesperson for Hamas said that the executions will be broadcast with live audio and video. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Monday what Israel will do to its enemies in the coming days will reverberate with them for generations.
The savage attacks that Hamas perpetrated against innocent Israelis are mind-boggling, slaughtering families in their homes, massacring hundreds of young people at an outdoor festival, kidnapping scores of women, children, and elderly, even Holocaust survivors. Hamas terrorists bound, burned, and executed children. They are savages.
Israeli authorities on Monday said its forces have re-established control of southern Israel. The Israel Defense Forces is conducting one of the largest airstrikes ever against Hamas in Gaza. The goal is to completely degrade Hamas's military capabilities so that they won't be able to strike Israel civilians again. The country is also implementing a complete siege on the Gaza Strip, blocking the entry of food and fuel.
There's still attempts by Hamas and other terrorists to get across the border and get into Israel and to attack in other locations. But the IDF has regained control over all of the Israeli communities. There are no more active terrorists in any of the communities, but there is fighting along the border.
To the north, Israeli troops shot and killed several terrorists who crossed into the country from Lebanon. Shelling intensified between Israeli forces and Lebanon's Hezbollah terrorist group, which is backed by Iran. Israel reported over 900 deaths by Monday, most of them civilians. Gaza authorities reported at least 680 Palestinian deaths.
I know that the past day has been hard. The price is heavy. I know that there are many questions and much frustration. But the important thing, we are now focusing on going forward with assistance and resolving problems.
Qatar says it's currently in talks with Israel and Hamas to swap Israeli women and children held hostage in Gaza. In exchange for 36 Palestinian women and children in Israeli jails, Qatar has been conducting the negotiations in coordination with the U.S. since Saturday night. Reporting by Allison Lee, NTD News.
Meanwhile, at least 11 American citizens have been killed in Israel. The U.S. is sending weapons to Israel, and the Biden administration is talking with allies. Joining us live is NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao. Iris, what do we know about Americans in Israel, and what's the latest in our response?
Good afternoon. Good evening to you, Tiff. So in the statement issued just this afternoon, President Biden confirmed that at least 11 Americans have been killed in Hamas attacks against Israel. He added that American citizens still remain unaccounted for and that it is likely that some of them are among those being held by Hamas. And Biden says he's directed his team to work with Israeli counterparts on every aspect of the hostage crisis, including by sharing intelligence and deploying experts. But the Biden administration did say earlier today that it actually has no idea on where these missing Americans are or what condition they are in. And President Biden has spoken with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for multiple times after the conflict began, including on Sunday when he told him that military assistance is on its way. However, former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy today criticized the Biden administration for unfreezing $6 billion in funds for Iran, saying that has fueled Hamas attacks. Let's take a look.
His policy has only emboldened terrorists. And handing over $6 billion to Iran only helps the cause.
The Biden administration is trying to make clear that none of this $6 billion fund has been allocated, and that even if it was, none of it is going to the Iranian regime. All of it is for the Iranian people. However, when it comes to the U.S., the FBI and the Homeland Security Department has made clear that there's actually no threats facing the U.S. homeland as of now. And as President Biden called on other countries to not to take advantage of the current situation, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who is in China today, and told Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping that China should condemn Hamas. Here's what Schumer said. Let's take a look.
I was very disappointed, to be honest, by the foreign ministry statement.
How much did they give you?
Support for Israel during these tough, troubled times.
The White House told us that President Biden would speak with close allies this afternoon about the developments in Israel. We're still waiting for a formal readout on that discussion. And it's worth noting that President Biden actually had no public events scheduled for today, so it remains to be seen whether in the coming days there will be a more formal opportunity for President Biden to address the death of 11 Americans. Back to you.